It's 3 hours into your drawing. You limped past the sketching phase and you're halfway through the line art. Your pen is clenched in one hand. Your other hand permanently glued to ctrl-Z, and the rest of your lines were fine, but why is this one not working? You redraw it 5, 10 times. You take a drink of water. You go back to it. 15 tries later, still not working. Do I actually just suck at drawing? What if I never draw a nice piece of art ever again? What if I told you that I have figured out a way to never put myself into this nightmare ever again? And what if I told you that you too can escape this hell? These 3 videos, all by pro artists, are not instructional videos, but I have analyzed and learned more from these 3 speed paints than any other instructional book, video, or learning resource when trying to fix my line art. So I'm going to show you what I specifically analyzed and learned from each, and show you how I fixed my wobbly lines so that you can too. These strategies should work for any drawing program you're using. All of the videos will be linked below. This first video is a speed paint by the manga artist Chomoran. If you know anything about manga, you know that to make it, artists need to be good at line work and fast. So let's take a look. The key point of this video is to look at the overall sequence of how Chomoran lines the drawing, but at 0.25 speed. Instead of working from top to bottom, connecting all the lines all at once with no gaps, Chomoran only does the large swooping curves first, intentionally leaving gaps before going in, sometimes connecting them and sometimes leaving the gaps. Why? From trying it out myself, doing this is so much easier because it splits up the work of drawing lines into 2 easy steps. What makes drawing line art hard is that a good line needs to meet 2 criteria, unless you'll ctrl-Z into infinity. The curve has to match the rough sketch underneath, and it needs to have a good starting and ending point. By only focusing on the curves and leaving these gaps, it allows you to easily correct the starting and ending points later on. Instead of 1 stressful hard step, it becomes 2 easy steps, and it's faster. Leaving the gaps empty and choosing not to fill them also allows the viewer's mind to bridge the gap, so you don't have to. What if your curves are still wobbly and bad to begin with? That's also what I had trouble with, and what was solved by this next speed paint by Yoneyama Mai, an illustrator and animator. Oh look, another artist that has delicate line work and leaves gaps between the lines. This next key point may be obvious to some people, but for me, it wasn't, so this improved my curves dramatically. Have you ever noticed that sometimes when you draw curves, you get it right on the first try, and other times it takes 5-10 redos? It's because the way that your joints and hands are made, it has a specific motion at a specific size that's optimal for the way your joints rotate. If you're an avid speed paint enjoyer, you may see some people zooming in and out a little bit, but the artist that really shows the importance of this is Yoneyama Mai. Just look at how much she zooms in and out over the course of a speed paint and flips the canvas. She zooms in really big. If you ever tried recording your screen to make a speed paint, you'd know that zooming in and out constantly while recording is a horrible experience for the viewer because all you see is strobe lights. So a lot of artists who make speed paints may either have so much wrist control that they don't need to zoom in and out, or they purposely optimize the viewing experience over their own drawing experience, making it harder for themselves but easier for the viewers to look at. To improve our curves, we can draw like Yoneyama Mai, zoom in and out while drawing, and find the exact size of curve your hand is good at. You can do that by drawing circles at different sizes and mark the easiest circle for your hand to draw. Now, whenever you draw line art, constantly zoom in and out so that the size of the curve matches the optimal size your hand draws out. For example, I found out that I'm better at smaller curves, so I need to zoom out for big curves on the overall canvas, like the hair or the limbs. Let's say your curves are still wobbly and you have long reconciled with the fact that you will never make smooth, flawless, thick lines. We can embrace the roughness, turn something unintentional into something intentional. And to take it a step further, you can look at a speed paint by Ryota-H, an illustrator and manga artist. I found that the thinner the lines you make, the easier the curves are. And if you use a rough brush like Ryota-H, at the intersections you can go over it again to make those intersections darker. You can focus on the curves first, and then the connections between the lines to make beautiful line art. Here's some tools you can use if your line art still isn't like you want. What if your line art is the wrong size and you don't want to redraw it? Use the liquify tool. What if you want the look of line art but you don't want to draw it at all? Turn on layer outline and there will be an automatic outline added to whatever you draw. This is on Clip Studio Paint, but if you're using a different program, there's lots of brushes out there for people who want exactly that in other programs. You just need to Google them. There are plenty of people out there who hate drawing line art even if they like the look of it. For the question of stability, whether you turn it on or off. For digital art, stability depends on what you're comfortable with. I usually don't turn on stability when doing thin line art because getting used to the feel of the raw lines is personally how I practiced, but for chibis, almost maxing out the stability is better for those thick lines. So it really just depends on how you practiced and whatever works for you. For pressure curves, it depends on the brush, but I usually use whatever is default. And with all of this, I'm able to make line art that I'm proud of now. What if you do all of this and it's still not as good as you want it to be? You're still constantly drawing the same line 5, 10 times, 15 times. That takes up a lot of time, and you don't want to do that. If you try everything and it's still not as good as you want, you can still enjoy a line art heavy style. You just need to go the painterly route. You can paint over any mistakes in your line art, and as long as you keep the width of the line art relatively the same while smoothing out any imperfections, the end products will still look good. It's just a matter of painting over takes some extra time. There's no law that says that you can't paint over your line art, what I do every single time. You know what they say, when life gives you lemons, change your paintbrush opacity to 80% and paint over all your mistakes as if they never happened. Mistakes? What are you talking about? There are no mistakes. I drew all of this line art perfectly the first time. You're just imagining things, huh? Nowadays, for me, whenever I need to redraw a line, usually it ends at maybe 4 times max. So doing all of these steps really saves time and improved my line art quite a lot. I hope this video analysis helps you if you have any line art troubles, and thanks for watching. See ya!